The stores since COVID have really grown a lot in volume because they got nervous with going to the big stores because of the disease, and they started shopping in small stores and found out how much they loved it in terms of the treatment that they got, like your business.
This episode of Main Street Matters is brought to you by Wood Underwear, Marchesi Ginfrati Neckwear, and Inspiro Tequila. I'm your host, Teresa Zimmerman. Welcome to Main Street Matters. As you know, we love to find partners and champions of Main Street, our independent retail stores across the United States. And we have a real treat here today, a true champion of Main Street, Fred During, principal of DLS Apparel Group. Welcome, Fred. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to ask you to just dive right in and tell us about DLS Apparel Group.
Yeah, first of all, we've been in business about 40 years, working with independents only around the country from here to the West Coast. Most of our clients are, we took a line and do it from here to St. Louis, Chicago down to Dallas. Most of our clients are eastward, a few in the West. Uh, and we've been doing this a long time. And I guess the big thing with our company is we love product, we love people. And so the combination of the two of those together makes a really nice romance out there. So we also get to travel to Italy a lot and see product there that we bring back to our stores and introduce them to that product. And I guess one of the reasons that we really exist is independent stores. Generally, the owner is the buyer
Uh-huh.
and they don't have time to shop like we do. And that's all we do is shop all the brands um, across the country. And we travel across the country and overseas to Europe looking for these brands and meeting these people, which we've done forever. And then we have a series of meetings. And before COVID, we used to have 3 meetings a year: New York, Chicago, and Las Vegas.
Yeah.
We stopped going to Las Vegas quite some time ago. Um, and New York has, since COVID, has never recovered to have that big show that they used to have. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of little small shows. But very important in New York has become the independent offices that carry anywhere from 8 to 12 brands, and most of them from Europe rather than domestic or made in Asia somewhere. So it's a delight to work with those people because you see really interesting product. So after we put all that together in I guess in a 90-day period, then we get ready to go to Chicago to make a presentation to our group. I would say that close to 90% of our clients go to Chicago. So it's a big show for us. Chicago's been a delightful town. I used to live there for 5 or 6 years ago, doing retail. Um, and I don't know, we really like product, and I
Mhm.
guess that's what drives our ambition to work with these stores.
Mhm.
And, my wife always says, "You could go in a grocery store and be happy," and that's absolutely true. We'll go out to, the beach sometimes, and we'll stop at this store called Giuseppe's, which is a big Italian grocery store, and we'll have our 2 dogs with us, and my wife, she'll say, "Okay, you got 20 minutes, that's it." And
She puts you
45
on a
minutes.
timer to shop? That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. So anyway, we just really enjoy product, and, we're lucky that we love product, and we have people here, Virginia, who's been with me from the beginning, and John Tatolis, who you've talked to, who came to us from Barney's. Um, so we have a great team here, and, so it really comes down to the product and the people, and
Yeah.
that's what makes everything work for us.
Yeah.
Um, I wish we could see our clients more because when we used to see them 3 times, it was delightful. And not that you see everyone 3 times, but you got a chance to see them a couple of times. And now it's just once a year. Uh,
Mhm.
so kinda disappointed in that. So we're sort of keeping our fingers crossed that somehow New York reinvents itself when it comes back. Um, so we're just keep praying for that to happen. But
Yeah.
there's still a lot of shopping that we do. And the market is split up somewhat different now. They're having early market, which they never had before. That mostly comes from the Italian side of the ocean for us. So guys come in now over 2 months, where they used to come in for that 10 or 12 days and do a lot of shopping. So kinda hard to gather people together to make that happen and see
Right.
everybody again. So it's just Chicago, and thank God Chicago is so good and so easy to work and such an easy town to live in,
Hmm.
because you really don't have to take a cab if you come there. You can
Right.
be in a hotel, you can walk there, you can walk to the restaurants. Um, and
Yeah.
my southern guys are the only ones that complain of the weather in February.
No,
It's a
I
little
mean,
cold.
Chicago in February is a little tough. Come on, even you have to admit that sometimes.
Uh, it
Um,
does. I When I lived there, it's in the '60s, and I was sort of a young dude with a beard and, smoked a little cannabis at the time. So, if you didn't when I got up to go to work in the morning, if you didn't really dry your hair and your beard, you had to take the subway downtown, and it would freeze, and by the
oh,
time you got to work, it looked horrible.
oh my
But I
gosh,
get love
my
Chicago,
gosh.
and I love being back there. It's
Well,
a
unlike when you're saying you grew up, now cannabis is legal in Chicago, so you're, probably
legal everywhere.
on
Right.
the edge there, yeah. So to be clear, so you when you say clients and customers, you're talking about the stores, the men's specialty stores, the independent stores that you're serving, and getting together, it's these meetings that you have at these, well, now Chicago, right? And so aside from doing kind of the homework around shopping for them, I know there's more services that you provide these
Yeah.
members. Yeah? You wanna talk a little bit about that?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we try to do from almost from the beginning is introduce new ideas to help run your store.
Yeah.
Um, and sometimes, what was the big machine that we all had before the computer? What was it called? The telegraph,
Well, there was a fax machine and a
no,
telex and a
before
a
the fax.
typewriter.
It was a telex.
Oh, okay.
We even tried to put a deal together for us and for our store, and just not didn't work out, and then the fax machine came along, and then the computer. So today it's the phone, the computer. The fax we actually got rid of, believe it or not, 2
Yeah,
years ago, but
yeah,
we tried to help them, integrate all the new things that have them control their inventory, they're open to buy, open to sell, all that together. And then obviously the next step became selling online. So
uh-huh,
now a lot of people use Shopify, which
uh,
is a good one, and we use Shopify. So a lot of our stores are now selling online, which is great. And
mhm,
some manufacturers even drop ship, where you don't have to actually own the inventory and show pictures of it and just drop it to the customer. So we do a lot of that. We do a color catalog. We do a flip book, which is electronic that they can send out to all their customers on their emails or any social media thing that they have. And that turns out to be great. I think you've been in it a couple of times
yeah,
as well. So it's
yeah,
a nice thing to open up the season with. You can use it at Christmas time, Easter, or any time that you want. Talk
uh,
about your great events that you have in the store with your customers and your vendors. We do a lot of custom work in our stores. So you can have trunk shows and use these to introduce those trunk shows. So we try and bring anything and everything that's out there to the
uh-huh,
retailer so they can find out about these vehicles they can use.
yeah,
And everybody calls us, fortunately, in the industry to talk about those things for our clients. So we introduce that as well. So between the clothing and getting to know the clients and their children and all that's just really great. And one of the nice things about the meetings is many of the guys have become close friends over the years, and they share a lot of things with each other, which is terrific. And they go to dinner together. They've even become friends with their families together, which is really terrific.
yeah.
Um, so all in all, it worked really well for everybody. So it's really happy to be with them.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you get into this? How long you been doing this?
Now, do I have to really tell you right there?
Well, tell me when you saw the need to actually put this group together. Why did you decide that there was a need for this?
Well, I guess when I got out of college, I went to work for a clothing store called Alexander Beagle in Virginia Beach. And it was at that time probably one of the best stores in the South, and they carried all the really great brands. And I grew up loving clothes that I got actually from my dad and my brother. Um, so I went to work there and I really liked the atmosphere and always loved apparel. So from there, it became a stepping stone working for other independents. And then I graduated to department store through this Garfinkel and Company in Washington, D.C., who I worked with for a couple of years. And then they transferred me to a store in New York called DePenna. Now I'm really telling my age here, which I don't mean to, but DePenna was a store all by itself, long gone out of business, but it was on 52nd and Fifth Avenue. And back then, people signed leases and they had a 99-year lease. And when I joined them, when that wow, right? I see that wow. I never knew a lease existed like that, but that's what happened years ago. So anyway, after 2 years, their lease was up after I joined them, and they decided to close. And so I I had to have a job, so I went to Bloomingdale's and interviewed for their 59 shop, which was their first venture into the young men's arena. And I got accepted, which I was surprised and shocked at, but worked out fine. But I decided at the end not to take it
Oh, okay.
because the president of Garfinkel's, and they owned Brooks Brothers at the time. I did go to Brooks Brothers and go through some interviews, but it was a little stuffy for me.
Mm,
I turned that down as well. But they acquired a company in Knoxville, Tennessee called Miller's, which was a local department store that had 6 or 7 branches with Knoxville as the main store. So the president of the company flew me down there to take a look. And I guess it kind of blew my head up. So I took that job. And so I was there for 2 or 3 years. And then a friend of mine got hired by a consulting company called Jager Corporation. Um, Long out of business now, but he was a turnaround specialist working with stores that had financial difficulty.
okay.
So I went to work for him, I guess almost for 10 years, and learned how there was a huge all price market that you could dabble in and do business with from all the same brands that you've been buying from forever. I worked for him for about 10 years and learned a lot. And one of the things I thought about was I still stayed in touch with a lot of independent stores because of who I worked for. And I got the idea with a couple of other people. Why don't we open up? I don't know what we thought we were, but a consulting office, buying office. And we said, why can't we do the same things for the independents that I was able to do with this company?
Oh,
And it was
yeah.
putting the buying power together.
Yeah.
So we started originally with 5 to 10 stores, I think, and grew to 25 rather quickly. And so we did what we've been doing for the last 40 years almost is finding merchandise and trying to get it for our stores to put it in their stores. In the beginning, it was a real hard push for to make the price really great. And then we saw the market sort of shifting and changing where it was really having the right product in the store, not worry about the cost. of- So we
Right.
switched what we were doing to a combination of the price deals to increase the margins, but to have the right brands and ideas in their stores. And that's where we spend the last 20 some years. And that's how we built the business. People heard about us. And so most of our clients come from the outside that get recommended to us through vendors or through our own stores. And that's how we've grown over the years. And we continue to grow, thank goodness. If that answers your question.
No, it does for sure. I mean, buying power and the consolidation of that, that's a big deal, and I'm sure that that's, a big attraction.
But the attraction for me, and particularly when I'm talking to a new client, they hear about the so-called deals that we get in the market. And when a client approaches us, and, well, who do you have a deal with and how much? I say, look, if you're just joining for off price, don't join. But we're going to bring you the best of the market and the best ideas. And the off price is just part of the equation. If you're here for off price, don't come.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense. That
yeah,
makes
so that's kind of how we try to attract our client base.
Yeah. So why do your members stay? What do you think the, top reason or reasons are that your members, keep, re-upping with you year after year after year?
We do a really good job bringing juniors to the stores. They don't have to. They certainly the pace level, but don't have the time. Okay. So I think that's kind of one of the big reasons. The other reason is they're able to meet with other retailers around the country that are not competitors and talk about what they do.
Yeah.
And in some cases, they have spun it off little groups and they go to these stores and meet 6 or 7 or 10 stores and look at what that guy's doing.
That's
Okay.
great.
So they get a feeling for how he or she runs their operation. And I think that's a big asset for everybody.
Yeah, that best practice sharing is great, and that you guys probably get them up in your meetings to present to the whole group too sometimes, huh? Is there
Well, yeah, anything that they're doing that really has an initiative that I think's workable.
Yeah,
We have one client, Harper's in State College, PA, um, who's because of the school who does uniforms for the graduating seniors for job interviews. And the uniform meets a suit, a shirt, and a tie. Okay.
right,
And
right.
does huge business out of it. So I talk to my other clients about it, where they are, and I get surprised when I find out they're in a college town, but they're not talking to people. And I said, well, here's a guy that does a $500,000 at wholesale. Look,
Right, wow. Yeah,
okay. And besides having the student there to wear his first uniform to go get a job, his parents come to town during those football days.
yep,
And where do they go? They go to
yep.
your store to shop because your son's shopping there. Okay. So it's all that kind of stuff that we try to hand to the guys. And I just had two this past week that I talked to. And because one of them sent me a shot of a kid that he just put in a suit. And I said, it looks great. I said, well, how many of these do you do? Well, occasionally I get one, and I talked to him, and he got all excited. He called Brian at Harper's, and now I think he's gonna try and do the same thing. So
Yeah,
we're learning as they're learning. So
yeah.
it's really terrific.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I think they actually love to share knowledge, amongst themselves because they're as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner or independent business owner, maybe not even small, you don't have a lot of peers to, talk to kind of in your local area, right? So, having a place to go, you guys as a source for, those peers and the shows, of course. I mean, that's a big benefit.
Well, the problem with someone local, if he's local, he's a competitor.
Right.
And we only had 1 or 2 situations like that in the whole office because usually we won't sign more than one trade partner
Got it.
in an area unless they give us permission.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of those, but they've worked out okay because if we get that kind of reference coming to us, we call the store that we work with in that area and say, "Do you mind?
Yeah.
You can bring this person into the group." And so far it's worked out fine, but we don't necessarily do that because once you tell somebody that you're working the best in this community, it's a competitor.
Yeah. Yeah. You manage out the conflict
So we try
already.
to keep
Yeah.
one client in the trade
Yeah.
there.
What are their biggest challenges that you see? I mean, you have a good view across the United States, and some of Europe too about, what independent retail's facing. Do you see some big challenges upcoming?
Well, I think the biggest challenge is getting customers into your store. So we're always looking for ways to reach out to that customer to get into the store making part of your community. So I think that's always the biggest challenge. We getting him to start to shop with you rather than someone else in that community. So we're always looking for ideas of how to reach out and how to show the client what you have in your store. And we're always assuming, uh, and the stores since COVID have really grown a lot in volume because they got nervous with going to the big stores because of the disease. And they started shopping in small stores and found out how much they loved it in terms of the treatment that they got,
Yeah.
like your business,
Yeah.
okay? Because that's what you're about, all
Yep.
right? And
Relationships, people. Yep.
yeah, so the challenge is getting customers into your building. I
Uh-huh.
think once they're in the door, they get treated so well. They like shopping for that.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest challenge I think for all of 'em.
Yeah. And then I mean, I know to that end, I've spoken with a number of your members just incidentally, because I think we work in the same communities, but they're all working on SEO. You've got them out there doing, search, trying to draw traffic in, to their physically to their store by using digital means. I know you guys are doing a bunch of stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah. And you bring in experts to help them with that or refer.
John is more versed in that because of his background than I am. Um, but we try and bring in people that know what they're doing, that can talk to the clients and convince them that they should be involved in this method in some way to be able to understand what's going on in their business.
Yeah. Yeah. How, if somebody wants to know more about DLS Apparel Group, what's the best way to reach out to you guys or contact you guys?
Capsule look at what we're all about with a phone number and email, so they can call us or reach out to us or send us an email. We'll chat with them, and in a lot of cases, they'll know the retailers that we work with, so we'll say, "Call, talk to 'em." The other thing we don't do, is we don't ask for a contract because we really believe if you're not happy, you should move on and not feel like you're locked into us. We ask for a 3-month payment up front, because I've had some people that join just to look at the list who you do business with, okay? And that's not fair. So we ask for 3 months in advance, and then we bill monthly after that. And if you're not happy, you should just call up and say, "It's not working for me." Some people don't put the effort in, okay? And I think all of them, if they put the effort in, they get really something good from our office. We've been around too long, we've been doing this too long that we wouldn't be here if we weren't doing good things.
Right. Well, I looked at your member list on your website, and I know that a lot of those guys have been with you a long time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Have a
Some
pretty
of 'em
good
have been here from the beginning of our office.
wow. That's incredible. That says a lot. Says a lot. So I have one question to end, but before I ask you that question, is there anything else that you'd like to cover off? Anything that somebody should know that we haven't talked about?
We do a color paper catalog for the
Okay.
guys, and we do the
Yep.
flip book, which we
Okay.
talked about is for electronic use. We do
Yeah.
that for each season. It's
For
done.
you do that for each store, right? Is
Yeah,
it
it's
customized?
yeah, each
Yeah.
store has to decide they wanna do it.
Yeah.
We don't make them do it. It's available, and we say, "It's available. Would you like to do it?" Um, and then we go from there, but, they tell us we send them a piece of paper with all these brands on it, and we ask, "Mark the ones that you'd like to have in your book," and if we miss a brand, on the back page, put that brand in. So once we have all their brands, we go to them and, to the brand and say, "We'd like a nice ad for this store that you're
Yeah.
doing business with." And then, Karen Allberg, as you know, Karen has
Yeah.
written several articles for us about, sustainability, about custom, and we put those also inserted in so they
Yep.
can talk about those kind of things in their store, which are
Mhm.
important today.
Karen Allberg of MR Magazine. Yep. Yeah. Yeah,
But,
we'll put all the links that you mentioned in our show notes as well, so people have access to those through our show notes. And then, yeah, so my final question for you, Fred, is why does Main Street matter? And, when I say Main Street, I'm talking about independent retail stores.
well, I think and when someone like you can interview all the different retailers around, and they'll pick up the feeling of what those guys or women are doing, and it'll help them in their business.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I think you're all about.
Yeah. Well, and then those independent retail stores, why are they important?
Because independent stores have been the backbone of this country forever, okay? I mean, forever. So they should be here forever, and we're trying to help them survive. There's no reason that each community and we've lost lots of stores over the years, and it was because of the big stores coming in, the discount stores and all that. But there's room for us, independents, and usually the independent people are the local people that live in the community and they support the community. So it's also helping with that story, which is really great. So independents belong here and because they're part of the community.
Yeah. Love it. Agreed completely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
And
I'm doing what I'm doing.
yes. Yeah, but
Thank
you're the strongest of all. 'Cause
Oh.
you are because you came with no experience and decided this is what you wanted to do, and you did it. You made it happen for yourself.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, well, I'll tell you just a little story. I mean, you and Lee Leonard, God rest his soul,
Yeah.
um, brought me in and just put your arms around me and embraced me into this community, 13 years ago now, and that was just a beautiful start to, this journey that I've been on, so thank you for that. All right, well, thank now that I'm teary I mean, it's not a good show unless I'm crying, so, hey. I appreciate you being on, Fred. Thank you so much.
When you told me your new direction, I felt like we should chat for a minute.
Thank you. I
The other
appreciate
thing,
it.
that we do besides because we have talked a lot about clothing, the other thing we do is all kinds of grooming products, all kinds of accessories, and all kinds of younger sportswear.
Yeah.
Which are
Yeah.
important for these stores to survive. Because the one thing that I've always said is that you don't have to just sell clothing. The other thing I love right now, and we've done a bad job of making it happen, but um, I'm in love with coffee table books.
Yeah.
I'm in love with those, and stores could do some really fantastic job. Because Virginia and I used to have a gourmet fruit shop together, and we used to sell cookbooks like crazy. So, and you can go to the book companies, and they're very easy to do business with. A lot of times they'll swap everything out for you,
Yeah.
but that's a huge piece business what these stores are missing. I mean, we've done a bad job of making it happen for them, but that's going to be a big push for us in August.
Oh, cool. Okay,
Yeah,
great. I'll look forward to, seeing some results out of that. That's
yeah,
great.
coffee table books are fantastic.
Yeah. Well, you guys are really helping these stores outfit their all of their categories. I mean, I know that, you cover most of them anyway, but, all the accessories that you're adding, that's great.
Yeah, no, it's fun. Okay.
Yeah. We gotta have fun.
When we got the book market, I always walked away with a half a dozen books and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just love looking at stuff.
I know, I drag around books. They're not exactly easy to drag around, but they're
Yeah,
hard to get rid of once you accumulate them.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I stacked all over in my house.
yeah,
They're just great to look at.
yeah. Agreed, agreed. All right. Well, thank you so much, Fred. I appreciate having you on,
Thank
and
you.
I'm sure we'll be in touch soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you for tuning in to Main Street Matters. I hope you found today's episode insightful and inspiring. I'd love it if you would share Main Street Matters with fellow retail owners or anyone else who loves Main Street. And please subscribe so you know when the next episode drops.